Hey, welcome to the Digital Remodeler Podcast. I'm glad you've chosen to join us today. And with me is Rob Harrison. Rob, good to have you with us today.
Thanks so much for having me on. Yeah, I'm looking forward to this.
Excellent. All right, Rob, it's good to have you on today. We're going to be talking through a lot of things, but let's start first of all with your background and your journey. So, you've got a military background, and it's quite impressive. So, why don't you start there, take us through that, and we'll go forward from there.
Well, yeah, 12 years military service with the British Royal Navy. Yeah, it's been a great journey on with being in the military as well. It for me it was probably the foundations of what got me to where I am today, for sure, of everything I've learned from all the generations of my family being in the military. It was kind of one of those things that I was the next in line. It was a decision that was made in my early teens that the military was going to be the next stage for me. I didn't even look at going to college or university or anything like that. I remember the teachers at school asking me what's the next job. I was like, well, I'm just going to join up, and that was where I went. And 12 years, I was in the Commando helicopter force for most of my career, working frontline. I did 10 years of frontline service, of being on like last minute call out, and just being there to be able to travel and really had fun doing that job. Really, it was amazing.
Fantastic. So, how did that shape your approach to sales and leadership?
I think, well, that kind of goes back all the way to the very first moments of basic training. It's very quick that you realize that discipline is number one. Okay, you just need to be able to turn up and be in the right place, right time, right uniform. If you can do that, then your career is going to be pretty good. Okay, that's kind of where I looked at it straight away. I could tell where the discipline side of things comes from, and for me, I think being able to work on tight schedules, being able to be on, 8 off. Okay, I did that for 6 months straight, many times over. When you go to sea, you don't work a 9 to 5. You don't have like that normal sort of daily routine. You have 8 hours of work and then you have 8 hours off, and you continually do that for 7 days a week. And then I think that side of things where you got to be disciplined in what you're doing, when you're doing it, how you kind of manage your time, and on top of that, being able to kind of get everything in that small 8 hour space in the day, of when you're going to be able to eat, clean, um, go to the gym, watch TV, socialize, whatever you're going to do is going to happen in that small 8 hour period. So sleep is very short, socializing is very short, cleaning's always long because that's always going to happen in your free time in the military. But it's really what does sculpt you into being in that sort of area where you can really make the most of your time and put a lot of effort into what time you do have.
Exactly. Now, one of the things that was fascinating when you and I talked the other day, you told me a little bit about your transition from how you got from the military into remote sales, and that's what we're going to talk about today. Really, is sales, but the story of how you got from point A to point B was quite fascinating. So let's talk about how did you get from the military to sales, and let's talk about that initial success you had in Mexico that really took you to where you are today.
Yeah, like even the journey to get into Mexico was a crazy one for me. I had everything lined up from the military, leaving the military, being an engineer, and I even had my home and everything set up in a town in the UK where I was going to go straight into motorsport engineering, with a Formula One team. Everything was all lined up, and it was only when I was given that unknown that I knew what my life was going to look like for the rest of my career, even to the age of probably 70 years old, of being an engineer, of knowing exactly what I'm going to be doing in the factory and then on the road or whatever I'll be doing, but I knew what it would look like. It was the idea of coming to Mexico and trying something different that really got me excited. And that was when I dropped everything, put the house up for rent, followed my girlfriend at the time, was when that was what it was all about. And I went full on. I asked her to marry me, put my house up for rent, put my notice in with the Navy, and came over here. And that was the kind of beginning of me then going into the new career of sales, because I came here with a complete open mind on what to do and how to do it really. And being an engineer in the military doesn't really line up very well to be a sales guy. So it was only when I was was over here trying to make some new friends, and it was a game of poker that started the whole journey off, which I met a sales director who sold my parents a timeshare about 15 to 20 years ago. And I was sat next to him at this poker table, and we got talking, and then realized that he had sold my parents, and then he started talking to me about sales, but actually got me to come down and talk to him and his sales team by making me think that I was actually going to be going down there and showing him a bit of nutrition and fitness side of things. Okay, he kind of pulled the sales cloth over my head straight away, and I was sold on it pretty instantly. And yeah, it all started there, and I went down to the hotel where they sell timeshare, and that's kind of where it all started. It was crazy.
Exactly. And I thought that was great. I think if I remember right, you hadn't even been really a poker player before. It was just kind of a,
Nothing. No,
a fluke
exactly.
deal. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
so let's talk about, how did some of that initial success, in the timeshare business, how did that influence you in the creation of Magnified, your company?
Yeah, it was crazy. Well, the very start of it, I didn't actually really see myself as it like being a timeshare sales guy. I wanted to get involved in something new. I had an open mind to sales. It was when the director his name's Neil Cooper. He's an amazing guy, and he knows so much about sales. He's been in the industry like 25 years. He's a director of an incredible company that are great at what they sell. And I think he's the driving force behind that. And I was lucky enough to kind of go under his wing and learn from the best. And he taught me a lot of different things when it comes down to the philosophy behind sales and thinking like, okay, how do I kind of make sure this works? And I think I was about three, no, about a month into selling, and I wasn't telling anybody I'm a timeshare sales guy. I was telling people I was working in real estate. I didn't really kind of see myself as like really understanding why I'm selling it. And it was one day, one meal that I went to with a friend of the family that completely changed that. And I don't know what happened over me that day. They said to me, "Oh, what do you do for a living?" And I said, "Oh, I sell timeshare." And I was like, "Oh my God, I said it. I never normally say this. I just say I sell real estate." And then his eyes lit up and he's like, "Oh my God, you sell something that is incredible. You sell something that I love. I have four timeshares." And I'm like, "Wow, okay, this guy, what's the story behind it?" And he said to me, he goes, I I love timeshare because I know I'm going back to the same place every time. I know that what I'm doing, every time I go there, I know the staff that work there because it's the same place. My kids love it and we create memories. And he continually told me about all the great things behind it. But the one thing that stuck out the most was when he said that the kids can tell him exactly what they've eaten on that trip. They can tell him like everything they've done. But if he asked them what did they have for Christmas that year, they wouldn't be able to tell him. And so he knew that the most important times of the year was going to be on this vacation with his kids and his family and creating the memories. So that's why he knew that timeshare was so valuable to him. And from that moment, that was the time that it completely changed for me. I went back in the next day and I had this complete different outlook on what I'm selling and why I'm selling it. And it was the big why. Why people buy this, what they need from it, and what they're going to get from it. And from that moment, I sold everything. I got an award for this, the most sales in 1 week. I managed to be their best sales guy there. And it was all because of that mindset shift of what we're selling and understanding what I sell and having a value behind it. And it was from that day, it was amazing.
Perfect. So you took that, and then what made you decide it was time to launch out on your own? And with that, what were some of the challenges you faced building this 20-person remote sales team?
Yeah, so it all started because of COVID. Okay, I was at the hotel about 3.5 months, and at that time everything was going really well. Sales was flying in, everything was incredible, getting the awards and everything like that. And then suddenly, night and day, like literally straight in the next day, no, we're closing down. Well, it's only going to be a week. It's only going to be 3 weeks. It's only going to be a month. It's only going to be 3 months. And then it was like, okay, I have no idea what's going to happen here. So I I had to look at other ways, and I was addicted to sales at this time. This was like I was learning everything. I was reading every book I could possibly get in front of, audio books. I was going to as many like webinars and seminars and as many things I could go to, and I was like, okay, I need to be able to stay in this industry, but obviously I want to keep the hunger going again. I wanted to keep it going. So I looked at what was the next best option, and online sales is there. And then I'm like, okay, this is the time now I get to decide on what I want to sell. Having a nutrition and fitness background from the military, towards the end of my career, I was an elite athlete for the military in Great Britain. So I was able to open a few doors for myself there with having a nutrition and fitness background where I got some qualifications. So I could put some sort of nutrition fitness programs together for friends and family. So when I was like, well, if I could sell something, what would be the best thing I could sell on it? And I was straight away, I was like, nutrition and fitness. I'd love to sell that. So I got speaking to a friend of a friend, basically from the UK, who's a nutrition and fitness coach. This is the point where COVID's now in like full swing, and nobody knows what's going on, but everybody's on the internet, everybody's on buying stuff online. So he said to me, he's like, yeah, I could do with someone who could come in and help me out with my sales side of things. And that was it. Sales was insane. I sat down and I looked at what we can do and how we can structure the 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 programs and how we can put the offers together. And from that, we tripled his income in the first sort of 3 months. And that was when I realized, okay, I've got a business that can work here. I've got a demand that can work. He was part of a mastermind, which then he told a lot of the other coaches about. So next thing you know, my emails are coming in saying, "Hey Rob, we need to get a talk, and we need to get on a video call. We need to be able to go through how you can sell for me as well." And so straight away I was like, I need to create more versions of me. I need to get more people doing this, and that's how Magnify kind of came about. We started just word of mouth. We were word of mouth for the first couple of years, and it was amazing. And so many coaches were coming to us. I then was like, okay, I need to build the coaching academy now because I need to be able to train more people like me, but I still need to be on calls. I still need to be able to do everything else. And that was just how it started growing, and now bringing in people, and like you said there, 20 people now in the business. We've got a full operations team. We have a team of sales guys. We have all the other people in the background that are making everything run from DMing all the way through to sort of cold outreach, to then warm them up and bring them into us. And now, yeah, and it's only been a matter of a few years, obviously since COVID, that this has grown, and we managed to 10x in the second year, understand exactly what we need to do, how we need to structure everything, and our coaches love it, and the clients that we work with, we don't just do sort of nutrition and fitness coaching either. We do service providing, and we we help with other types of coaching as well in the background as well, with everything from finances through to property. So we have many different ways of looking at it, but it's an amazing journey so far.
Uh, Perfect. So, we talk about remote sales, and it's interesting that you've chosen that because post COVID, so much of selling has become remote.
Mhm.
More selling is done off of Zoom calls and not face to face anymore. And so, you talked about how you, really made that your focus. And now you've had a lot of data collected, over 100,000 sales calls, and that's allowed you to refine your techniques. Talk a little bit about this data-driven approach and how that shaped your sales strategies and improved the success of your clients.
That's it. And that was a big, like that was a big point for us, like to scale. And okay, how do we do it? How do we do it on bigger numbers? And we looked at, first of all, the operations team are geniuses. Honestly, they're amazing what they can do for us. And we took all of the data. We use AI. We use AI for so many things. Okay, the data that comes in through AI is so important. There's so many different. I use Fathom, which I use for literally every single call I do. It gives me everything about the call, what the following steps are, what's happened in there, what we collected. Also within things, especially like Fathom, there's ways of being able to see what you're doing as on your sales call. So actually it does a little bit of sales training with you. Okay. It shows you how long you're talking for. It also shows you things that you've obviously missed out. And I put our full sales structure into there as our template. So I can now see exactly what points of the structure that not just myself, but all my sales team are also making sure that they're hitting each point at the right times of the calls as well, making sure that they're bringing up the right things, they're coming up with the right answers as well. With that, having that data, we could then use it to know, okay, the closing percentages, how we can improve on closing percentages, how we can improve on not just increasing the revenue, but also increasing the individual sale value, okay, and bringing up the price. So we're a commission-based team, but the main thing for our commission side of things is we wanted to be able to increase every single thing that we sell by more than what we charge as a commission. So technically we can class as free because whoever it is that brings us on as a remote sales team, they obviously don't want to lose a big chunk of their revenue to give to us. What we wanted to do is improve their revenue so much that the bit that comes to us is pretty much the free side of things. And now everyone that comes to us is getting all the time back that they would normally spend in sales, giving it to us. We're then basically reverse engineering all the approaches that they've done in the past and then bringing in a professional team who's also, we look at closing percentage, we look at the numbers coming in, we look at even the times of when certain people book in, of who sells at what times. Okay. And every single one of my sales guys is a subject matter expert in that industry. So if I've got nutrition and fitness we sell for, the guys have to have a background in nutrition and fitness. If we're selling coaching for properties, for instance, for real estate agents or anything like that, the guys that are selling that as well also have a background in real estate in some way, so that we can use our subject matter expert approach with the numbers that we get through our systems. We have full analytics that we take from it every single day, live analytics as they're happening, so that we can see everything that's going on. We can make those changes live, and that's a huge, massive change, and that's what allowed us to 10x the company very, very quickly and bring in the exact things we need to do at the right times.
Excellent. Now let's talk about the innovative sales process that you've developed. So you've developed this process, significantly improves the closing ratio for remote sales teams. Can you just give us an overview of this process? Tell us a little bit about what makes that unique.
The the structure is very important, and for me, there was straight away I went down a 10-point structure that I put together. This was after thousands of calls that I've done myself. So if you go back now to day one of me sort of jumping on a call with a lead for a coach who, first of all, probably didn't know there was a cost to the program. They didn't know if it was going to last a month, or if it was going to last 6 months, or it was going to last a year. None of the leads were really lined up. There was nothing that warmed them up in any way. There was no application form process, okay, which is very, very important. And that was the first thing I have to bring in. That's the very first thing I look at with any client that I work with. Okay, how are the leads coming in? What are you doing already? Okay, we don't do the lead gen ourselves. We rely on the coaches of whatever they've got already as their lead gen, but we help them with the process, okay, and what to say with lining people up. Okay, a lot of people, and I think probably a lot of listeners for this are gonna probably agree with me. It's very easy to go on Fiverr, or it's very easy to go online and get a VA from a foreign country who doesn't know anything about your business, doesn't know anything about sales, to be your appointment setter. And I really don't get why people do this, because you're taking a bunch of steps back, because you'll now have to train somebody up who doesn't know anything about sales to then have that. They're the first line of defense. They're the first people that are going to be speaking to your leads. And it's so important you ask the right questions and you line them up correctly to bring them into our side of things, where we're going to book them on a call. Then from booking them on a call, how we're going to make sure that that time gap between when they book in to when they're talking to us is actually correct as well. Because if you have it too long, it's it's forgotten about, and they're not going to show. If it's too short, then it can end up being a little bit pushy, and they probably won't be able to get on the call, because they're probably trying to fill a crammed diary. Okay, you got to make sure that it's in that sweet spot of when they can actually go and there's enough availability in the calendar. So having the everything lined up correctly is super important to make sure that, like like for myself as being the business owner, okay, I can work on a lot of things, but when you've got a commission only sales team, they're only going to make money if they sell. So it's my responsibility to make sure they're in front of leads that can buy. And so you need to be able to make sure to qualify those leads very, very early. And that should be done with the appointment setters first. Some people do triage calls, some people do sort of like a discovery call or anything like that. But I think the application form process is very important, and that's what starts the whole structure of how we sell. So then we can get on the call with them, and we can first of all, obviously the usual thing, which is breaking the ice, saying hi, getting to know them, okay? Because these calls shouldn't take more than sort of 40 minutes. So it's 40 minutes from the moment you meet the lead to when they're actually giving you some money. Okay, this is one call close. This isn't like, okay, this is the discovery, and then you can book them in again. The way we line it up with the application form process, asking them about their age, their occupation, their location, business details, what position they're in right now, if they're in a position to move forward right away. Okay, if there's any other decision makers that needed for this. Okay, all of the sort of objections that would normally come up. Okay, we can handle them very early and we can filter them in the right way. So when we speak to them, I then use, which is the next part of the strategy after we've broken the ice, I give them first of all a an opening statement, which is I'm going to let them know exactly how the call is going to lay out. I'm going to let them know that during this call today, we're going to go over all your problems. We're going to try and solve the problems with with our product, with what we're selling, with the program that we have. Once we found out you're a good fit and you're a good fit for us as much as we're going to be a good fit for you, then I will go into the investment and I'll talk to you about the investment and I'll be sending you over the invoice. And whilst you're making the payment today on this call, I'll be setting you up as a client on our database. So I let them know exactly what's going to happen. So then there's not going to be that point in the call where they're going to go, okay, tell me about price. Tell me. Like, well, I've already told you it's going to be at the end of the call. So they don't ask that and they can picture it in their head or where they are in the call. Sometimes people talk a lot. I'm definitely one of those. Okay. So the structure needs to be there to make sure that the call is only going to last a certain amount of time. But that's also for the lead because if you've shown them already a sort of roadmap in their head of what the call is going to look like, they're not going to be thinking, "Oh my God, how long is this going to take? Is this going to go on forever? When's he going to say this bit? They know like the way that I've structured it and the way that I've put it together and told them how it's going to lay out. They know they're waiting for that, so then they wait for the next bit, and they know then how to structure themselves on the call, and their mindset's in a much better place. From that, that's when the application form is really, really important, and that's where we go in for information confirmation. They filled out the application form in their comfort zone at home or at the office or wherever they are in their own time and being able to fill it out in their own words. So instead of me interrogating them and saying, okay, how much can you spend? What's your budget? What's this? That? They've already filled that out. So I say to them, okay, you spent your time filling out the application form. Let's go through it together. Let's go through this. Tell me about this. And then I can be that like 4-year-old and say, why? Why? And that then brings out all the pain points. That brings out all the issues, all the potential objections. So that instead of me interrogating them trying to find it, they're actually just telling me as a conversational sort of approach. Okay. And that helps so much. And that's what saves so much time in the call. And from that, that's when you can then go through the rest of the structures, which is going through the product, going through exactly what it is, because you've already found out their problems. You can now, instead of showing them every single thing that you possibly do, you can then show them exactly the things that's going to help them rather than what's going to help everyone. So they understand it. If they understand it, they trust you, and they see the value, they're going to buy it. Okay. And that's what it's all about. And then bringing it up because you've already spoke about price, you've already boxed the money, you've already seen it because they put down what their budget is, and you can work on that, show more value, increase it slightly, then show them when you're showing them price, it's comfortable for them to pay it because you know they can. And that's the best way of getting the highest closing percentage. And it really does work.
Excellent. Yeah, you got into some things that I think I want us to unpack a little bit. And our topic today really is diving into sales, and then we're going to kind of deviate off script a little bit. So one of the things that you brought out is this whole pre-qualification. Um, Sometimes the reason that we struggle in our sales is we haven't done a good job of pre-qualifying. So we're talking to the wrong people.
Mhm.
So even this process you just described, taking the time to fill out that application, give us that information up front, so we make sure we're talking to the right people if we're going to invest that time. So I think that's probably one of the most valuable nuggets you just brought out here. I think the other valuable piece that you just brought out is setting the expectation. What can we expect on this call? I'm going to ask you to make a decision. I'm going to ask you to be ready to, provide that credit card number or to, set up that ACH or, whatever this process is going to look like. And I think, sometimes as salespeople, we back away from the sale. Uh, and we don't prepare our prospect for that. So I love that piece of your process that we come in prepared, we set the expectation. We're here to do business, we're here to make the decision. So that's phenomenal. Now we're going to shift gears. You and I talked about this, when we first met, because I want to move beyond the sales discussion because we're talking to business owners here.
Yep.
And one of the things in your journey is you're in Mexico right now. And part of what we talked about is what creating a remote business has done as far as allowing you to work from anywhere in the world, giving you freedom to explore and do things that you've always wanted to do. And that's one of the things that, we want to talk about with our audience. The reason that as entrepreneurs, we start our businesses is we have these bigger dreams that drive us. And so I'd like you to talk a little bit about, some of the systems that you've had to put in place so that you can run a global business that doesn't take up all of your time, allows you to work from anywhere in the world, but also allows you to be effective in what you're doing.
Exactly. There's trial and error was the biggest start to this. Um, I'm an engineer. That's my engineering background is is all I knew. That was it. That was my whole background of everything I did. Engineering was all I knew. So when it came down to making my time, and well, the 4 hour work week, obviously everyone talks about 4 hour work week. 4 hour work week did help me, and it made me understand like, okay, now I understand where instead of being in an engineer, which means you get paid for your time. Okay, that was it. I turn up, I build whatever I build, and that you get paid for that time that you're there. Where the 4 hour work week taught me that you can get paid without needing to be there. And so I was like, okay, how, like, what do I do to make that happen? I have to be on sales calls. I have to talk to people. I have to, so that I'm still getting paid for my time. So how can I make this even easier? And this was when we started looking in, and I took on an operations team once I started building the company out, and I was back to back on call, 16 hours a day. Like really, like you know what it's like when you start a business. You're only as good as what you're putting in. Okay. There's one thing you always know that you are going to do, and that is put in the time. The thing you don't know what you're going to get back is the money and the outcome. So time spent trial and error on everything I was doing. And it was then like, okay, what do I know that can that can create an automation? And all I knew at the time was sheets. There was notes, okay, on my phone. And I had an assistant working with me from day one. He was amazing. He's actually a cousin of my wife. Great guy. And between me and him, that's all we knew. So that was what we did. And I was like, there must be an easier way of this. Then we looked into like, okay, we need a CRM. We need something that's going to send messages to our leads without me needing to go on my phone and text them. So now what do we do for that? And this was where like, okay, let's Google some stuff, let's find out some bits. And I went on some of the CRMs and they're literally tens of thousands of dollars a month. And I'm like, how are these companies being able to do this and being able to actually put this in place when like that was our revenue at the start. You know what I mean? You can't just you don't just go, okay, I'll just put everything into a system. I was like, well, no, time is still going to happen. And so we then looked in it, and Notion was one that came out for me, and I was like, oh, great. And but then I was like, okay, what do I need? What's the end goal? What do I need from this? Okay, I need to have messages sent to the leads before the call. They need information. I need a confirmation. So I need to send a question. I need them to be able to reply to me. I need to know that they've replied. And I need to have something that's going to be laid out. And Notion was great because you can just literally put anything into Notion. You can design it out how you want. And so this is where the engineering side of things comes in because I was like, okay, let's reverse engineer what the outcome should be all the way back to the absolute basics. And yeah, just 3 or 4 days constant in the computer, going crazy. And the day I remember, never forget, the moment I finished and built it out, I got introduced to go high level. And I was like, ah, okay, this is the other side of things. This is like they're like, yeah, everything you've just done there is like a very small part of what is actually out there on something else. And I was like, okay, well, at least I've learned now what the background looks like of a CRM and how to kind of build your own CRM and what the information that you need and the automations that come through. Then we're talking about all the other systems that now talk to each other, which is like Fathom. We've got Slack, we've got Go High Level users as our CRM that we have a white label on. We actually provide the location for every single one of our clients as well, so they've got everything laid out and they can see it. The other side of things is having Notion in the background as well to create all of the sort of foundation for all of the automations. So before I knew it, I was able to have a complete hands-off approach to everything up until the moment I get on the call. So responses, everything for emails, confirmations, even replies to what the leads are messaging us. Okay, and having something set up that was going to reply as a human, not as just an automated response, which is like set up like a robot, and having that in place, that saves hours and hours and hours of hassle. Everything can be everything can be designed so it shows the client that we're representing, okay, all of their branding, everything like that. So it's not all just coming through magnified, it's coming through everyone that needs it, everything on there. Then from that, our operations team started growing, and this is where we provide analytics. Every single bit of data we get from every single call, from the person, the age, all the way through to the closing percentages of certain people that we close on. So we can know, then we can bring the data back to our clients and they can actually just log into any of these analytics that we've got set up and they can go through all their numbers live as much as they want. Instead of us having to jump on calls with them every week and then going through it all with them, they can see it live and then we can jump on calls anyway every couple of weeks or whatever we need to do to go through some sort of sales processes and stuff like that. But everyone has everything there. Everything's I think like the trust side of things grows then because anyone that owns a company, anyone that has everything to give your sales to an outsourced sales team, a remote sales team that are all over the world. Okay, we're in different continents. I have to be able to communicate with the guys on a daily basis. Um, there's different people closing at different times from my like 4 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning, my time, all the way through to 11 p.m. at night. And so to keep all that going, okay, everything needs to be there. The coaches need to see everything, the clients need to see everything. Everyone needs to have everything laid out, and the automations that go into Slack are great. We've got we've got now, yeah, full-time, 3 guys in our operations team, full-time, running everything in there, making sure that all the automations are working well. There's always updates that we're putting in, always new things that we're building out. And it's great. And I think that's why I love this so much because I'm not building helicopters anymore like I used to. I'm building systems, I'm building just software systems that I never even knew about. And again, like the helicopters I worked on, the military helicopters are concepts themselves. You will never find another one again. It's a military helicopter. You can't just go out and buy one. These this same as our systems. Our systems are all designed bespoke to every single person that we sell for, so that it can be designed exactly around their needs. And that's what I love because it's constantly changing. There's always a demand. There's always a problem. There's always a fight about it, but it's fun and it's great. And I love just spending my time building them out and seeing how to use it.
That's awesome. Yeah, and I think, one of the great things about what you're doing, for most entrepreneurs, one of the last things we let go is sales. So, we let go of operational things, we let go of technical things, but sales is that last piece that we hang on to. And,
Yeah.
really to truly be free and scale and diversify, as an entrepreneur, there comes a point you're going to have to let go of the sales piece.
You're
And so
right.
that's where Magnified becomes a great solution. And so that's where we'll kind of wrap up today. And so, Rob, if somebody wants to learn more about you, they want to learn more about your services, how they can bring that to bear on their business and how you can come alongside of them, where's a good place to connect with you and learn more?
Well, we've got our websites. We've got magnified.io, and we've also got salescoachingforclosers.com. So there's our websites there. We're on Instagram as magnified.io. I'm on Instagram myself, where I do a lot of sales coaching. I do a lot of objection handling. I've got a lot of things that I put out on training, a lot of questions that I get, which is rob.h.8. And we got sales coaching FC as our Instagram page for that. And you can find us on LinkedIn as well. We've got the sales coaching for closers community as well, that we're right now, the next 100 people that join are going to have free access. It is going to be a monthly subscription to it. I'm going to be doing lives within there every week. I'll be doing updates on anybody who's got any issues, any questions to answer. We have everybody in there at the moment that are putting their weekly wins, different objection handling, anything that they've learned that week, anything different that's taken from it. And obviously we got the sales coaching for closers course that we use for business owners and closers, or anybody who's not even done sales before, like my background. Okay, coming from the military into thinking, okay, can I do something different that's going to allow me to be anywhere in the world, allow me to be able to take a laptop with me and sort of work from Italy or work from Mexico where I am. It's amazing lifestyle. You can do a lot with your time when you can be remote. And that's the kind of things that we teach in there. I've got a bunch of videos that go through everything like we've just been talking about there, everything in depth on how to kind of put together the perfect sales call, and also teach people how to find the jobs, create LLCs for sales closers. Okay, not many people know they have to be self-employed for this. A lot of people think they just work for somebody. It's not. It's you can be self-employed. There's great ways around it, and you can work from anywhere in the world.
Fantastic. Yeah, and I just want to encourage you, whether you're a person who is needing to up your sales game. Well, one of the things Rob and I talked about in our original call was for me as a marketing agency owner, a lot of times one of the things we're working with our clients on is improving their closing percentages. They could save themselves some ad spend if they would just get better at closing. And so if you need to improve your closing percentages, or you're to the point where you just need to turn the sales process over, definitely connect with Rob. Rob, thanks for being a part of the broadcast today,
Thank
and
you so much for
look
having
forward
me.
to having you back again sometime soon. Thanks for
Thank you.
joining us today.
Yes, thank you so much for that. Yeah, I really appreciate it.